Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Kuttin Loose Podcast. I'm your host for today because Jeffrey is not here. I'm your host, Case Hand. Our guest today is a very funny comedian. He is all over the town of Atlanta, and he recently just blew up on TikTok. Please welcome my guest, Nick Tigges. Nick, how you doing?
Doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Dude, it's pretty good, man. So how are you doing? How do you feel? What's it like being TikTok famous now?
It's a little surreal just because, I kind of didn't expect to blow up. I mean, I'm still, under 10,000 subscribers, but, it's pretty much climbing every day. I've got some new content that's coming out pretty soon.
Yeah.
So hopefully that number will just keep going up. Likes, comments, all that will keep coming along. Man. And, one day at a time.
Yeah, man, that's good to hear. Good to hear. It's a very funny video. Go follow him at _Nick Tigges, Tigges, on TikTok and Instagram?
And Instagram.
And Instagram. That's perfect, man. That's perfect. So I got to ask, since this is primarily a comedy podcast and we interview only comedians, what made you want to get into comedy?
So I'd always kind of thought about doing it in the back of my mind, but I never really took the initiative on it. Like, the first time I did comedy, it was 4th grade. It was at my elementary school talent show. I went on stage and just did, jokes from a joke book. So technically I already broke the first rule of comedy, which is don't steal other people's jokes.
Yeah.
But, I told, dumb jokes like, what do you call a cow that does lawn service? A lawn mower. Like, dumb like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it obviously resonated with the parents. They liked it. So I was kind of like, yeah, I could probably do more of this. But I never did. I kind of fell off the wagon there. Then, I went to a couple shows at Laughing Skull and really liked what I saw. I'm like, I could probably do this, but I never really jumped into it, even though I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
It took my friend Damon Lee dragging me to an open mic after telling me for months, do comedy. I'm like, all right, I'll get to it. And finally, it's just like, Nick, we're going to an open mic tonight. You're coming. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And it was May 18th, 2022. I went to an open mic Wednesday night at Roll Call Theater, and I went up there, did 3 minutes, and actually did pretty decently for my first time. And I was like, you know what? I like it.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it ever since.
Mm-hmm. And then, so how long you been doing it? 3 years? Right?
2 years.
2 years.
It'll be 2 years, May 18th.
May 18th. Do you know the day? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, then I would ask, how long did it take for you to find your voice?
It took about a year, probably about a year and a half. I didn't really start finding my voice until probably around October, November of last year. That's when I really started to hit it off. Same thing earlier this year. After I got my hip surgery done, then I kind of, started talking more about that. Also my autism, some current events. And now I've kind of, found my voice. It's more of an observational voice. It's more of a trying to find the silver lining in bad situations.
Yeah.
As well as also, being informative, teaching people about these certain topics, but also being funny at the same time.
Yeah, that's very... And, what topics do you like to inform the audience about?
So, again, autism, because I am mildly autistic. My hip replacements, because I've gotten both my hips replaced.
Yeah.
Current events and politics, because I do have a master's degree in public administration.
Damn.
And just, news and other topics that just broach my head. I'm working on a couple new bits on venture capital, AI art.
Yeah. And
those I'll hopefully start teaching people, because most people don't know about these things. And once they kind of find out how shitty they really are, then, it's probably going to open some people's eyes. And, also at the same time, while doing that, making sure it's humorous.
Yeah. And then I wanted to also ask as well. So you did mention that you were mildly autistic. What was that like? When did you first get diagnosed?
2022. So actually very recently. I still remember it. My parents always had a suspicion that I was.
Yeah.
But whenever they took me to a doctor or a therapist, because I was so high functioning, because, I was still very outgoing, despite the quirks and the signs that were there, all the doctors and therapists were just like, hey, he's fine. Because back then in the 90s, if you were autistic, everyone thought that was you were severely autistic.
Yeah, you were the...
There was no spectrum. There was no nuance. There was no nuance. There was no spectrum. It's just if you're autistic, you're disabled, you need professional help. You need, to be in the special classes. there was no nuance there, and that's probably why I missed getting diagnosed
so late. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I would have like meltdowns, like I would, be hyper focused on things, like I would have problems with some social interactions, with some social cues. But again, like, the doctor said he's fine. And going like later in life, it kind of started getting worse. And, I kind of started thinking maybe I am. And finally I decided, fuck it, let's, see specialists about this. And I did. And I got a diagnosis back. I was just like, everything in my life makes sense.
Yeah.
Like looking back at everything, like interactions, meltdowns, hyperfixations, quirks, sound sensitivity, food sensitivity. I'm just thinking like it was like a light bulb going off. I'm just
like, oh, that makes sense.
I'm like everything in my life made sense.
Yeah.
And then also I got an ADHD diagnosis too, and that basically made sense of everything else.
Yeah, that's I also have ADHD. So like I get that. I was just like when I first found out, like when I first truly grasped at what ADHD was, I was just like, that makes sense for all the weird stuff that I tend to do, So yeah, were you ever like growing up, I know this is a stereotype, but were you ever like nonverbal?
No, I actually was hyperverbal. Like,
very
nonverbal people, not talking. Me, I would just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk endlessly about like anything and everything that I was passionate about. So no, I had the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Issue.
Okay. I get that. Yeah. I'm also very hyperverbal. Yeah. Both of us are. To be a comedian, you have to be hyperverbal.
Absolutely.
There's no shy stuff on stage. So so you did it 2 years ago. Was this when you started doing comedy? In like, if we're looking at a roadmap, were you diagnosed with autism first, or did you do comedy first?
No, I did comedy first.
Yeah.
But the comedy that I was first doing was kind of more political focused. Like I talked about my experiences working for the Georgia Senate Budget Office. Yeah. When I was interning at the legislature, that's kind of what I focused on. Also, some observational stuff. It wasn't until after I got that diagnosis then I started, trying to focus more on the autism. And to start off, those jokes were kind of just funny stuff about autism. Like, one of my jokes is, I was kind of sad after I got my diagnosis, and my therapist is like, look, so the bad news, you're autistic. But hey, the good news, you're allowed to say retarded. Like that was one of them. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
You can say no. You have the pass. Don't worry. Yep. You have the.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then my dating with autism stuff, where like was because of certain quirks, like intimacy cues just flying over my head because I take things too literally. Like one woman sending me a picture of her deep throating an ice cream cone, I just respond, "Careful, you're gonna get brain freeze."
Yes, that's crazy.
It's like stuff like that, like not missing. It's like not missing, like missing those cues and like not being able to not see them. Like, but then like recently, I've kind of shifted more to focusing on talking about the serious downsides of autism because like at the end of the day, like everyone, you go about how you've got these quirks because of your autism, or like you've got the tism, or like this is kind of some of the funny things I do, but like at the end of the day, I think it's gotten away from people that autism is still a developmental disorder, and it is severely impacted my life, relationships. Like I was bullied in high school because of it, and I kind of want to focus on talking about that now because it is a serious thing and it has negatively impacted my life, and I want to convey that. Like one of my things is kind of talking about masking, because for those of you who don't know, masking is when an autistic person, having been rejected or bullied for their autism, they put on a mask to, kind of fit in
like
with normal people. Yeah, it's a facade. And so my joke is like, whenever I go outside, I feel like I'm autistic Batman. Yeah. Or like Bane from The Dark Knight Rises when he says, nobody cared about me until I put on the mask. Like it's kind of one thing I could convey that, but also still be humorous about it.
Yeah. And so like, how would they like bully you in high school? If you don't mind getting a little deeper here. If you don't want to bring it back up, that's fine.
A lot of things, just, not leaving me alone on the bus to read, asking me like very personal questions, and of course like divulge like very personal things about me, which you're not supposed to do. Like they would get that stuff out of me. I still remember one incident where like they tried to convince me like if some girl I liked had a penis, would I f her? And like it was like, back when, it was still okay to hate trans people.
Yeah.
And like they basically kind of convinced me to do it. And then of course, mocked me and ridiculed me throughout school. Fun side note about that. The person who originally asked me and got me to do it has now transitioned. So now that I'm thinking, I'm kind of like...
He definitely had a crush on you. Or they did, yeah.
Yes, I'm just like, maybe there was more to that, and my autism didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
It's like, Nick, would you ever have sex with a trans girl? And you're just like, why are you asking me this right now? But anyways, let's divulge from that. So, sorry, I'm thinking of another question right now. We'll cut this part out. No, yeah. So, what was college like then? Did you find it easier being in college rather than high school? I'd assume so, yes. But so you go to college, you still don't know you're autistic. Like, what are some of the challenges you faced in college?
So yes and no. Yes, it was a lot easier to make friends. It was, a lot easier to not get bullied. No, as in, this is when I developed depression and anxiety from my experiences in high school. So I basically became a shut-in for probably the first 2 years of college. It was only really junior year that I started getting out more. And even then, I still never felt like I fit in to the college scene or around my friends. And like, I still don't to some extent. Yeah. Like, it's very hard for me to like accept that, like, I do fit in. Like, I am wanted. Like, people do.
Like you are wanted and loved.
Yes. And in college especially. Like, don't get me wrong, I still had fun. I still made friends. But if I could go back and do things differently, I definitely would probably get out more. Knowing like how I am now, like being, older and, a little wiser. Yeah. Like I'd go back and kind of, get out more, join a lot more clubs and, try to interact with people more.
Yeah. And then as well, so yeah, did you ever feel like you were like you were present in the moment, but you always felt like you were a little disconnected?
Yes.
Like you were kind of like, while you were there and you knew that they like deep down you knew they did care about you, were you kind of like on the out, you felt like you were just outside looking in?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. All the time.
And like, so do you still struggle with that? Or
absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. And so sorry, just kept jumping on it. No, but I don't blame you. But yeah, so you're just on the outside looking in, and then have you gotten better about it, or would you say it's probably stayed the same?
Oh no, it's gotten hell of a lot better. But it is still there. I do have to fight it almost on a daily basis, but it is easier. Yeah. Like, it has definitely, like, all these things, like, they're still there. They have gotten better. They hopefully
like that anxiety.
They hopefully will continue to get better in the future, but they are still there, and it is something I'm probably going to have to deal with for the rest of my life.
No, yeah. I definitely have felt that as well, because, like, anxiety is one of those things. Like, it's like one of those, it's a monster that feeds on attention.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's always kind of like, hey, I'm here, and then like, but the more you're just like, okay, it's like, oh, you're here. Okay. It kind of just like, well, why are you doing this? And anxiety is just one of those things. It's like, I've struggled with anxiety and depression as well. So it's one of those things of like, it's that monster that feeds on attention. The more you give it, the more it's going to be like, yes, I'm going to get you now,
Yeah.
So when would you say, dare I ask, when would you say it got better for you? If it has at
2018.
all. 2018.
So I was still kind of a shut-in, after college. Like, I was working as a personal trainer, developing some social skills. I was mainly hanging out with my best friend and his now wife. And his now wife introduced me to one of her friends, Scotty. And Scotty was kind of the catalyst for who I am today. He got me out of my shell. He introduced me to a lot of new people, and through those people I met new people, and through those people I met new people, and now my friend circle is like absolutely massive in terms of interconnectedness and who I know and who I hang out with. But yeah, like, if it wasn't for Scotty, I probably would not be talking to you right now. Like,
that's fair, man. Shout out Scotty.
And I wouldn't have gotten into comedy either, because he gave me the confidence to eventually try it out when Damon did drag me to an open mic.
Yeah. And then, so after your autism diagnosis in 2022, this is so incorrect, I'm going to say this, did you have to how'd you break it to your, okay, no, I found the wording now, but yeah, how did you break it to your parents? They're like, hey,
they knew.
Oh, they knew? They just weren't telling you?
I told them, and they're like, yeah, they were basically like, yeah, it checks out, because Because like I said, like they always had that suspicion.
They always had the suspicion.
They always had that suspicion, but they never confirmed it because my doctor's just like, hey, he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But after hearing it, they're like, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, yeah, everything makes sense.
Everything makes sense a little bit. Yeah. I totally get that. Like, because obviously we're not on the same thing. But did you read that? Like, there was an article that like under the new guise of what the spectrum is, like low grade autism would be like having ADHD and stuff like that. And so like my mom, she was one of those people who was like on top of it. And so she knew from like pretty much the get-go that I had like ADHD. And she was like, because she was like, no kid should be like this, So what was that like? What did your parents ever like kind of, because she accommodated for me, did your parents ever kind of accommodate for their suspicion of you, like, oh, we need to do this and this for him?
Yes, actually. So my mom actually told me this recently. So when I was having meltdowns or like, because I was hyper fixated on things, I'd get upset about like things, or like I wouldn't want to leave because I was so focused on something. So what she decided to do was, kind of give me like a time window. So she'd come to me, like, if I was doing something, and she's like, hey, look, 10 minutes, and then we're going to go do this.
Yeah.
And then she'd come to the band. She'd be like, 5 minutes, we're going to go do this. And then, it's time to do this. So it was kind of like a gradual easing into transitioning to what we were going to do next. Same thing, like if I was at my grandparents' house, she would come over, but she'd come over like maybe 30 minutes early from when she was supposed to pick me up, so she could kind of ease me into getting ready to go home. Yeah, which I was still unhappy about because I really enjoyed going to my grandparents' house. But those were a few examples of her accommodating me for that in that manner. Like in other aspects, not really. I know, like with my math homework, like I just gave my mom an incredible amount of hell, like with her trying to help me out because like I just couldn't get it. Like I was the bad autistic. I was terrible with math, and like it really showed in her, like her and me just getting into screaming matches over problems I just could not get no matter what, and it's why I hate math, and I still hate it to this day. Like I just and like even like thinking about it, I'm just like, I never want to go through that again. Yeah, I was just really glad that in my master's program, when I was doing my math classes, it was mostly done through software, like Stata and R. So it's like I don't need to do the calculations. I just need to make sure I know what the proper inputs are and where to put in the numbers, and it just does it for me. I'm just like, oh, thank God. Because if I had to do like actual math in my grad classes, that would have been fucking awful. Yeah,
I get that. So, like, did your dad ever help you accommodate, or was he kind of just like left it to your mom?
Oh boy, he basically left it to my mom.
Yeah, that's fair. Would you? That's a little personal question. Would you say he was a good dad though? Otherwise than that?
I mean, yes. I mean, my parents basically, they did the best they could, and honestly, having interacted with so many other people's parents and having heard so many nightmare stories from their parents, I'm just like, you know what? I had it good. Like my parents, I mean, they'll agree with this. They're kind of boring. They're unassuming. No debt. No, alcohol or marital problems, no affairs, nothing like that. They're just kind of plain, boring folks. And that was honestly a good thing because, I grew up in a loving household. Like basically they did the best they could. I mean, was it perfect? Of course not. It never is. But, they did the best they can. And honestly, I kind of turned out, I think, the best I could given the circumstances.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And then, so you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a brother and a sister.
Yeah. Are they also autistic or no? No. And how would, when you told them, were they just like checks out as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then so what were they like siblings growing up? You don't know, like you have autism, but did you ever suspect that you had autism or something like that? Or
no, because I didn't know, because I saw, the special kids in the special classes. Yeah. I'm just like, oh, if this is what autism is, then no, I don't have it.
Yeah, then you don't have it.
Because again, this was 90s, 2000s. Nobody considered it a spectrum. It was always, if you have autism,
you're like pretty much disabled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so did you always know that you're like, oh, I'm not autistic, or it's like I'm not this autistic, but like I'm not normal? You're just like
I knew I was different.
Yeah.
But how to explain it, I had no idea. Yeah. I knew I didn't fit in. I knew I was different. Mm-hmm. But was I autistic? I mean, I wouldn't have guessed it.
You have no idea, yeah. And so then how would your like brother and sister like be like, how did they react, or how were they growing up? You know you're different, and I'm assuming your family does too. So how did your brother and sister react to that? And how did they ever accommodate or anything like that?
I can't recall. Not really. Yeah. I mean, we just did kid. That's really it.
They were just your brother and sister, right? Yeah. And did they like support like this comedy dream you're on? Does your family support?
They do. You know, they want me to be successful in whatever I choose. It's like, you know, my parents are very understanding when it comes to what we want to do in our lives, like with careers, relationships. Like they're like, look, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, as long as you know it makes you happy, then go for it.
Yeah.
So they're very supportive in that regard. They do want to make sure that I'm successful, you know, can make a decent living. That's what they're concerned about. Yeah. Also kind of the hyper-focusing on comedy, that's another issue. Like they're worried I'm getting too wrapped up in it. Mm-hmm. But they are supportive. I mean, they've seen my videos. My brother, you know, he's seen my stuff. He thinks it's funny. My sister thinks it's funny. In fact, actually, so my mom's sense of humor is very odd. Like she kind of likes more kind of clean, good, wholesome humor. Which is why it was surprising that 3 of my jokes that are really dirty are her favorites.
That's crazy.
Like one of my jokes is that, you know, I have a taboo fetish. It's step-sibling fetish, and I'm working on making it a reality by getting my parents divorced. Yeah. Then I have one on the Roman Empire about how a lot of people are wondering why guys like the Roman Empire, and it's because the Roman Empire gave us like a really like a lot of awesome things, like, you know, indoor plumbing, good architecture, butt sex. And I go, sorry, that was actually the Greeks, so technically the Romans gave us the first example of cultural appropriation. Mm-hmm. Then I have another one where basically, you know, eating cookies is like taking opioids. Once you have one, you just want another, which, you know, inspired me to write a new children's book, If You Give a Mouse a Percocet. And those are my mom's 3 favorite jokes. I still remember watching the Super Bowl with her, and her just turning to me out of the blue going, I'm going to be honest with you, I really like your Roman Empire butt sex joke. And I was just like, this is going to be a really awkward time now.
That's really funny. Just like your mom turned to you, like, do you know what I enjoy, Nick? Butt sex. You're like, well, okay, Mom. Okay. That's what I love. Roman Empire butt sex. That's... Well, get on Mama Tigges like some butt sex.
but given like my mom's humor style, I'm just like, I never would have expected this at all.
Yeah. Yeah, so was she like one of those good, clean Christian moms growing up?
I wouldn't say like Christian, but like she kind of didn't like, you know, like the dark humor or the violence or anything like that.
Yeah, that's fair. So she didn't, someone like Sam Kinison, she wasn't really... No. She was like, this Jerry Seinfeld, though. That's a funny man.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, Seinfeld. I mean, Seinfeld was a good show.
Everyone loves Seinfeld.
Her favorite TV show right now is Only Murders in the Building.
That's a pretty good show.
It is a very good show.
Very good show. Have y'all, this is going to be a question. Is that mic working, Jeffrey?
I'm not here, fool.
Yeah. He's not here. I'm speaking to the ghost of Jeffrey. That's what I'm doing. Jeffrey, if you can hear me, please speak down upon us. Do you like Only Murders in the Building?
Don't ask me a question. You ask the producer the question, bro. You fired, man. You just don't know how to play the role.
That's crazy, man.
I'm not supposed to be.
It is not supposed to be here.
We'll just say yes, he does.
Yeah, we're going to say, the ghost of Jeffrey is speaking to me. He does like Only Murders in the Building. He also says Case has 100% job security. That's what I'm hearing. Case will never lose his job. That's Jeffrey, really? You mean it? Yeah, man, you a killer. That's what I'm hearing. Oh, wow, man. Oh, I'll give you all the money from the PayPal. Oh, Jeffrey, thank you, man. So gracious. Do you hear that too? What is he saying to you?
Yep.
What is he saying to you?
The exact same thing.
Yeah, exact same thing. No, you're not getting paid for this. But he actually told me that specifically in my ear. He was like, hey, this is just for you. We're not paying Nick. What? This is the devil. No, Jeffrey.
Hey, go on with the show, brother. Nick got things to do, bro.
I have things to do.
He got 5 million views. What you got?
So.
Go ahead.
Oh, Jeffrey. Oh, you're going to turn the podcast over to me? Oh, thank you so much, Jeffrey.
Definitely not. Go ahead, Nick. Nick, finish talking, man.
No, that was we were in a little in between. We were riffing, were we not? We were riffing there a little bit. Little riffing. A couple more minutes, man. Anyways, so yeah, Jeffrey didn't tell you. You just found out this podcast existed. Be honest, was it on the way over here?
No.
Okay.
No, it was earlier on when you guys messaged me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I just haven't had time.
I haven't had time to give it a listen.
Yeah, God, I've gotten so tongue-tied during this thing.
Like, it's all right, dude.
That's
I
the
get
interesting thing.
tongue-tied,
I will
too.
say that's the interesting thing about ADHD. Like, some days I'll be like really clear and concise with how I talk,
direct.
and other days like I'm just tongue-tied. Like,
yeah, that's the same. Yeah, because like my mind moves 1,000 miles a minute, and then but my mouth goes about like 950 a minute. You know, so it's sometimes.
So you got the thought, and you just vomit up some words.
Yeah,
instead.
exactly. Sometimes I need to. I saw one of our producers just close his eyes and went, "No." He's just like, "Good Lord!" Sometimes, man, you just gotta vomit it. Sometimes you just need to move your mouth really well. You know, this is. The ghost of Jeffrey, is that you? Please buy. Champ Boxers is number one boxer in number one box. It has a good box. You see that? So,
yeah.
A chiseled man that is, wearing Champ Boxers, the number one boxers for chiseled men like himself. He, use promo code Kuttin Loose 1 for 25% off your purchase. Is it first purchase or all purchases? I'd imagine it's one purchase, right? All purchases. Champ Boxers. Yep, that's our little ad break. You see now that professional podcast?
Yep,
right here. Yeah.
You always recut it and edit and post.
We're not. It's gonna be all going in. Christian likes to make myself look like an ass, so he's our producer. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, who are some of your inspirations in comedy?
Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart, he's pretty funny.
Daniel Tosh. My comedy style, kind of my delivery. Definitely takes inspiration from Tosh.
Yeah.
John Oliver, Stephen Colbert, back when he had the Colbert Report. And then 2010's Crack.com. Because I was...
Crack.com?
Crack.com.
Is that the real thing?
Yep.
I've never heard of Crack.com.
Well, it sucks. It sucks now because it got bought by Scripps Media in 2018 and it just turned into like clickbaity shit. But back in the early 2010s, they had some great humor articles and great topical articles as well. I mean, actually, one of the editors went over to Iraq when ISIS was, going through there and basically, did interviews with people who were affected by that. And it was still humorous, but it was like very eye-opening.
Yeah.
And of course, it got bought by Scripps, and then it just all went to shit.
I get that. Yeah. Crack.com. What a terrible name for a website. And it's like, I should start my own news website and call it PCP.com. No? That's last day?
I agree. You need to call it Last Day.
Yeah, Last Day.
Oh, no.
Heroin.com is... What is that, Ghost of Jeffrey? Oh, I get all your inheritance when you die. Oh, my God. Jeffrey, that's so honorable of you.
How many more minutes this man got?
2 more.
Oh, okay. Two more minutes?
Yeah.
Hurry up, brother. Nick, you great, man.
Thank you.
You ever thought about co-host? You ever thought about it, Nick? We'll talk after this, man.
I'll think about it now.
Oh, okay. Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Not later, but
I
don't know if you want to work for Jeffrey, man.
Hey,
he hates white people.
Man,
well, he likes me.
Exactly. Come on, say it again, Nick.
Well, no, you're kind of like spicy white because of the autism. But I'm sorry, that was mean.
I'll just say mild chili pepper.
Mild chili pepper. He's a peach habanero, is what he is. He's a nice, mild chili. That's
Nick,
crazy.
holler at us, man. We done, okay? Talk to us after this. All right, go ahead. Check the case. We done.
That's crazy, man.
We done.
It's 12:37.
He interviewing his replacement.
Is this what this is? Is this the interview to get someone else on this damn podcast?
This a job interview? Holy
This is
shit.
a job interview. This is, oh, Jesus Christ, Jeffrey. He done duped me. He told me.
We were looking for. Appreciate it, Nick. You're doing a great job, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
This was a trickeration. This was trickery and trickeration. I would like to put it.
Case eyes are getting watery now.
This is not fair. I'm gonna look directly in the camera. I'm gonna look right. No, you, because I don't want my replacement on camera. I'm telling y'all right now, this was trickeration. This was a coup d'etat placed on me by the Kuttin Loose Enterprises. And you know who I blame this on? Will Palomino, our intern. This is his fault. This is his fault. I told him to during one person's set, and now I'm getting fired.
Look, no, looks like you're getting cut and loose. I'm sorry, I had to do it. I had to do it.
Coming on my damn show.
Coming on my show. Coming on my show, being funnier than me. My ass, man. We're gonna. Oh man. Looking like Wallace and Gromit. I'm done with it, man. This is ridiculous. Coming on my show, Jeffrey's show that he. Yeah, I'm trying to, dude. You know how hard I'm trying not to be ableist right now. Call the police.
Hey man, you have my permission to say whatever you want.
I got. It's like 911. What's your emergency? I got an El Salvadorian and 2 black men in here. They encouraging a bullying is what they're doing. They're cutting loose. You said that so. Oh my God, that was perfect. That was perfect, man. You're so. How does it feel to be better than everyone in here, man? That's.
It feels validating.
It feels validated. It's like, oh, I already knew that. Valid. Confirmed my suspicions. Jeffrey, man. You should have fired me a long time ago. You should. Cutting loose, man. I got permission though to say whatever I want. That's what I got. That's what I heard. Or do you have any questions for me about my performance? That's what we're doing when I host now. When I'm co-hosting or hosting, I have to, due to me trying to keep my job, I have to ask, how did this go?
I think it went well.
That was very unassuring. It's like, it went well. It went well. It went well. He gave me that look. Y'all saw that look he gave me. He's like, oh, yeah, you should probably kill yourself. That's really what you should do. You probably get fired from trying your own suicide, man. Racist, man. This is what this is.
You dig in the hole, brother.
Dig in the hole?
Dig in the hole.
Goes to Jeffrey. You're the funniest co-host I've ever had. Oh, thank you, man. So much.
He's digging to China right now.
Yeah. How would you rate my performance? This is like, they're making me ask these questions. Well, how would you rate my performance on a scale from 1 to 10? It's 1 out of 10. Yeah. But Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert, and Crack.com.
Yeah, and Daniel Tosh.
And Daniel Tosh. Yeah. I wanted to introduce our newest sponsor, Crack.com. No, never mind. We'll end it right here. Nick, thank you for coming on, man. You were a great guest. I guess you'll be here next week. I have to go find a new podcast to leech on. So, is For the Boys hiring? Do we know that? No, they're hiring. Tune in next week to For the Boys with their new with Hooch, Carlos, and their new co-host Nick Tigges. Man. Anyways, Nick, it was wonderful talking to you, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It was a great
awkward.
time.
Yeah, it's a great time. Great time. Kuttin Loose. All right, we're done. We're done. Okay. Racist, man. That's what.